And now it's time for Leadership of the Leaf with Dice and Austin. Let's jump in with a cut and a light.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Leadership of the Leaf. My name is Dice.
My name's Austin.
All right. And today we're going to take a deep dive into Habanos.
Oh, not where I thought you were going with that, but all right, let's go. Let's do this.
Yeah, with that deep dive.
All right, so how are you deep diving into Habanos? What are you smoking on?
Well, I'm doing a classic today, sir. Romeo y Julieta Reserve. It's a Nicaragua Habano.
Definitely one of the old families.
Yes,
for sure.
And because it's old school, I'm gonna call it old school. I am drinking a sidecar.
Ooh, with cognac and Hennessy, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Do you have 2 ice spheres in that glass?
Yeah, I like it when the balls roll and hit me in the lips.
Okay, all right.
Yes, I have 2.
I'm just curious. Just curious. Not curious enough to try 2 ice spheres, but curious.
They're smaller ones, for my pleasure.
I'm smoking the American Viking Obrigado.
Obrigada.
Gado, yes, it's a house blend it was a house blend from Cigars Daily. They turned it into an actual cigar brand called it American Viking, and now they've started distributing a lot wider. I tried this one, fell in love with it. It's a straight Habano cigar, and it is absolutely delicious.
You said straight Habano. Habano from where?
Nicaragua.
Wish I'd known that. I would have got a Honduras one.
Yeah, well, such is life.
It's okay.
It is.
All right. So deep dive in Habanos, huh? Well, one thing I know is it's a versatile leaf.
It is.
Most popular?
It is definitely the most popular among all the blenders. They're everyone's just going crazy for Habano wrappers. It's definitely the most currently popular wrapper leaf used right now. It's hard to get away from almost.
Okay, so I know we can't get in America cigars from Cuba and all that, and that's Habano. Right. Habano is the capital of Cuba.
Havana is the capital of Cuba.
Okay, my bad.
You ignorant fuck.
Yeah, so the Habano leaf is a Cuban leaf, but notice I said Nicaragua Habano. So
yes.
So is it still not the Cuban seed or what?
It is. So a Habano leaf is simply a Cuban seed tobacco, which goes through a Cuban style fermentation process.
So like the old school.
Yeah, well, there's 2 strains of the wrapper leaf. There's the Habano and then the Habano 2000. Both are hailing. Yeah, right. Both hail from Cuba and are hybrids that they basically, if you remember back in the 1990s, the Corojo leaf was almost wiped out due to a disease that ravaged tobacco farms. So these are hybrids created to resist that disease, and that almost destroyed Corojos in 1990-ish. Yeah, 1990s.
I like the original, like when they say it's original Corojo as opposed to the second generation Corojo. But we're not talking about Corojos this time. We're talking about
Habanos. Yeah, so normally these are spicier, richer. The color is generally darker. Chocolate is usually a kind of a flavor that you're usually tasting. Medium to full bodied, and you got a thick, rich, maybe oily structure.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with everything you just said. Except for I don't get really chocolate notes as the start of the cigar I'm on, but the outside, the sheen, the color of this. Of the wrapper is amazing. It looks phenomenal. It's rich, and there's some spice to my pulls at the beginning. So, yeah, spot on.
I'm getting a coffee mocha with a little bit of cayenne, black pepper, somewhere in there.
I would definitely say this is medium to full right now. It's definitely medium, but I can tell by how heavy it is on the medium side that it will get to full.
So there's a difference. There is the Ecuador Habano, which the growing region, if a lot of people don't realize, there's a huge amount of difference in just because the cloud cover will filter out the light and create leaves that like super rough or aren't too thick. Because a lot of the Habano leaf, they have to be used as binders because they're not, pretty enough to use as wrappers.
Right, which again, it points out that just the Habano plant itself is very versatile to where it can be used as wrapper, filler, binder. I think they can use it for any part that they want.
Yeah, for sure. Dang, I just love these cigars. So good.
But you said yours was what, from Cigars Daily?
Yeah, it's the brand is actually American Viking.
Okay.
But it started out as a house from cigarsdaily.com. But it's very good. They have a bunch of different other ones that are really, really good. This is probably by far my favorite one. Another one of theirs is the Filthy Viking. But this one I think is a good, probably my favorite of their line.
I know Rocky Patel has a few that uses a Habano wrapper. The Edge, I think they're coming up on their anniversary for it now. That's actually what I was looking for, but I didn't see it at the brick and mortar I was at.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, everybody's using this thing. I was listening to another podcast where they had Eric Newman on the show, and he was talking about their blends and how he's just what's good, what's bad, everything like that. And he was even talking about how Habanos and Shade are probably two of the hottest leaves right now.
Yeah, which I think is funny because actually it was Candela that was actually hot in the streets.
Yeah, which is funny because, I mean, cigars in the States have been around since, hundreds.
Yeah.
There's a cigar boom in the 1930s. Not to dive into our topic, but there's a cigar boom in the 1930s when, farmers had their wives roll them cigars, and that's when they started and everything else. And then, fast forward through the Great Depression, not anybody wanted to buy these things. Had a cigar boom kind of around the 60s. It died out in the 80s. And then it's now resurging, and the cigar boom has been going strong since like 1990s.
Well, it was cigar boom. I remember the cigar boom in the 90s. And then it kind of like trailed and died off. But now another one started like right before the pandemic, the COVID pandemic, and then I would say it's dwindling down now.
Yeah, I mean, for a little bit. COVID has killed a lot of things.
Yeah, well, just paying attention to it because I know COVID interrupted a lot of the cigar making in the process. So once everybody got back to working, they kind of went in overdrive. Now warehouses are packed full, and brick and mortars are getting more and more different kind of orders in. Congress kind of let up a little bit, bada bing, bada boom, put all those things together. Now the market is kind of oversaturated with tobacco, with cigars.
Which is
not
great.
Saying that, yeah, I was going to say not that it's a bad thing, especially for anyone that enjoys these cigars, but it puts a lot more choices out there. Like, you go down the cereal aisle, you got like what, umpteen billion. So now all you got to do is see which cigars is going to survive this overture of cigars that's out there.
Well, there's been a lot of brands that have died out recently.
Right.
And then because the boutique brands have come a long way, and I know there's a bunch of boutique brands that go well into the Habanos, and they talk about do that Cuban style fermentation process and all that sort of stuff.
Now I know you was talking about the Ecuadorian is it gets a little too rough and a little too thick. So the Nicaraguan would you say that's the opposite?
No. The Ecuador does not. So Nicaragua gets a lot more sun, so it gets a lot more thick, get a little bit more toothy, so to speak. So it gives you a lot more notes of wood, leather, black pepper, that sort of stuff.
So being that it's a little thicker, that means in my opinion, I'm not a cigar maker. So being that it's a little thicker, that makes it a little easier to work with.
Yeah, I mean, you think about like a Connecticut shade where it's like those super thin wrappers, that if you just look at it wrong, center, you know what I mean?
I know
these
exactly.
are a little bit, a little bit thicker, a little bit more beefy, so to speak.
Definitely on Connecticut's, I definitely the ban on long as possible.
Yeah, it kind of helps keep everything together.
Not only that, because it's so thin that even the slightest little pectate that's on the back of the bands to hold them in place,
right?
It'll tear or rip or do something to it. Whereas I know this one that I have now, my band, I can take off now if I want, and it's not going to damage the cigar.
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing. These Habanos, every wrapper is a little bit different. It has different characteristics. Connecticut Shade's a lot thinner, but it's a lot smoother taste profile. Sun-grown, like Rojos are, kind of somewhere in between. And then you got the Habanos and the Maduros, which are a lot thicker, a lot darker. They got a little bit different flavor profile. They get toothy. You said
flavor.
Yeah.
Did you say what you was pairing your cigar with? Did I miss that?
You did.
I didn't think so. There we go. What flavor are you mixing with your cigar?
I actually decided to go a little bit different. And I went and got a Jamaican mule. So it is a mule with rum rather than vodka.
So it's in that little copper cup and everything, huh?
It is in the copper cup. My wife got these free gift.
Are they engraved?
No,
okay.
Unfortunately.
That's fine. I was just curious. So I would think that would mix pretty well with what you're smoking.
It's bringing out a little bit of it's bringing out the nuttier side almost. It's bringing out a lot of the nuttier side of the it's allowing the spice to kind of come through and really kind of hit the back of my tongue. A lot of nutty, earthy, woody flavors, and it's delicious though.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, I'm about in my first half.
I'm pretty much there. I can talk about mine right now. I was looking at my burn line. My burn line is kind of thick. It's not razor sharp that I'm used to seeing. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It just puts a lot more. It's a heavier smoke output.
Right.
My ash is holding well, so everything looks nice with it. Like I said, the cigar looks phenomenal. But my flavors are definitely a slight pepper, more woodsy, and I would say there's some leather in there too. So all those hit right on point with what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, I mean, the embargo that happens and that stuff from Cuba, yes, that sucks. I agree. However, Nicaragua, Ecuador, even Honduras, I think, still will grow various leaves from Cuba that will allow us to taste those kind of flavors. And each one's a little bit different because the growing region is different. The soil is different. Even the levels in the soil make a difference. This cloud cover, the sun, all these things, the temperature range, all these things make a difference in the tobacco.
Yeah, that's why you never really have two cigars the exact same. They try their best to get that same flavor profile. But I guarantee you, if you had a Nicaragua Habano cigar and then you had another one just like it that was Ecuador Habano, I'm pretty confident if you've been smoking cigars long enough, you'll be able to tell the difference between those two.
Yeah, the flavor notes and the nuances are gonna stick out to. I don't want to say everybody, but they're gonna stick out.
Even the shades is going to be slightly off too.
Yeah, the color of the wrapper and everything is going to be a little bit different. There's a lot of these that I was going through my humidor for this episode and trying to pick out all my Habanos to figure wanted to smoke tonight. And there was a lot of them that I was picking up. And I was like, that's a Habano. Oh, no, that's Corojo. Oh, that's a Habano because that's got... Nope, they classify that. Where the hell's all my Habanos? And I even found one. I picked one up. I was like, this has got to be Habano. I looked at it. It said Connecticut Shade. I was like, what in the world is going on right now? So I searched through, found everything that I wanted, and I was like, you know what? Obrigado is the way to go.
Yeah, I kind of ran into the same thing. But I really, because Habano's such an old school, not old school, that's not the right way to say it, but Habano has such a deep, rich history with cigars. That's why I wanted to get one that was a little more known for being older, like an old guy cigar. Hey.
Old guy cigar.
Old guy.
Well, I mean, it fits with the person smoking it.
Way, I'll take that.
But yeah, Habanos, they're wonderful cigars. Everyone's using them in the industry right now. I know Roma Craft is using them. I can tell you mentioned Rocky Patel is using them.
Rocky Patel definitely.
CAO is using them. Asylum's using them. Cigars that are coming out that have like Habano type wrappers.
Yeah, I think I don't want to say it's the easiest leaf to come across, but it's definitely the most popular leaf, as we said earlier. So it's a natural fit that all these cigar companies is going with that, because if they don't have a Habano anything in their portfolio, then I'm not sure what they're doing.
Probably going with Connecticut Shade and or Maduro, because those are the only other two options, really.
Yeah,
I mean, you could go Corojo, but
for a portfolio, I think you need at least something Habano.
You gotta have Leaf by Oscar Habano is one of the greatest Habano leaf cigars I've smoked probably in a while. I dare say ever.
Oh, that's a bold move, Cotton.
Dare I say it?
It's all good. It's all good. So deep dive.
Yeah, deep dive into the Habano. I mean, it's hard to it's hard to keep going on this leaf because it just has such a wide variety of usage. People use it for fillers and wrappers, binders, all that sort of stuff. It's a darker leaf. Chocolate can be tasted. Habanos with a lot of spice and earthy, woodsy notes. That's what I associate Habanos with.
Well, that's what I definitely associate the Nicaragua Habanos with. Yeah,
I would agree with that. The Ecuador Habanos, I get a lot more of a cream, chocolate.
Yeah. Yes, a little deep flavor, but it's more on the nutty side of the spectrum, more as Nicaragua is, like we were saying earlier, spicy and peppery.
It's that sun. It's all the sun.
I'll take it because I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. When we come back, we didn't talk about our leadership segment.
Oh. Maybe it's going to be a surprise.
Ooh, a surprise?
It's not going to be a surprise. We just didn't mention it.
Sounds good. We'll take a quick break and be right back.
Hey, Austin.
Yeah.
Hey, I know you was doing this leadership of the Leaf podcast, and you were smoking on some cigars.
Absolutely.
I'm curious, how would I know what cigars you're smoking?
Oh, that is a phenomenal question. At the beginning of the episodes, we always talk about what cigars we are smoking. But if you want to see a picture of what the band looks like, because maybe you can't find it or we didn't explain it good enough, you can always go to our Instagram or our website, and we'll post pictures of what we're smoking and usually what we're drinking with every episode. Before the break, we were talking about the Habano. We kind of went into a deep dive of the flavors and how it could be used. But now we're getting into the leadership portion, and I want to know, Dice, what is leadership? Specifically to you, what is leadership to you?
To me, okay. So when I think of leadership, I think of the one that is going to lead the way, the have others accomplish a set task or goal at hand.
Okay.
Normally it's someone a little older, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. And normally it's someone that has kind of walked the walk before. Again, doesn't necessarily have to be, but those are typically the ones that will lead the way.
Okay. I could get definition for the most part. To me, it's the leadership is inspiring others to shed themselves, become a team, and accomplish more than what they ever would have accomplished individually, and being able to inspire them to do all that in the achievement of a common goal.
Yes. Right before we started, my kid asked almost the same question. And I explained to her that a manager will tell someone how to do something, as where a leader will show them how to do something.
Yeah. Well, right. So I found a definition on interwebs that I actually kind of liked. And so I'll read it to you, and you tell me what you think of it. Leadership is a process of social influence which maximizes the efforts of others towards the achievement of a goal.
That nails everything right there on the head.
Right. That, to me, that's a lot of more simplistic stuff, but I just don't feel like they captured everything that is leadership.
Yeah. Yeah, I know for me, growing up, when I think of leadership, I always think as the older one. It's the wiser one. It's the one with the long gray beard. It's the one that's been in whatever game you're playing for the longest. But as I grew up more and more, I realized that it's not necessarily always a true story, because there's points in time, especially in my life, where I was the actual leader, but by far I was not the oldest, and I haven't been doing the same task the longest. I just have that confidence to where I was able to, as you were saying, influence others to achieve a common goal.
Right. So then my question would be, do you think a leader is the one that has the most, let's say, social influence?
Not necessarily, because when I think of social influence, it's probably a little far off. But when I think of social influence, I think of the class clown. Everybody tends to like the class clown no matter what. But no one will pick him to be the leader. He socially influences everyone because everybody's laughing or whatever, like leading his way, and he gets along with the whole class, basically. But he's not necessarily the one that's going to lead the way for the class to pass that final test.
All right, fair enough. I'm curious, because as I was jotting all these notes down, talking about this stuff, it kind of makes you examine what your core beliefs, right? Because you got to figure out, hey, what is leadership to me? What is this? And leadership, like you said, has nothing to do with seniority or one's position in the hierarchy of a company at all. Like, be the lowest person on the, there's a janitor that could be a leader.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. It's I've seen, you see football people and they vote the football teams, NFL teams, they vote their leaders. They vote their captains. College football teams, they vote for their captains. It could be the guy that just transferred in. And they're like, yep, he's our captain because he commands respect in the locker room. He has that influence guys to go out there and win that game.
Yeah.
Has nothing to do with his seniors on the team. Could be like, who's this freshman? And then be like, oh man, I really respect that guy.
Yeah. A good example of that, I don't know if you're watching that HBO series about Magic. I can't remember the name of it, but it's about Magic Johnson. And there's a scene. I want to. It's actually really good. There's a scene in there with Magic Johnson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Now, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is known as the captain, but when Magic Johnson came in, of course, no one kind of wanted to listen to him. They always listened to the captain. But then the captain kind of was like, hey, this Magic guy, he's got something, so let's listen to him. So he kind of like passed the reins over. Right.
And that's what's, that's training your replacement. That's giving something out behind you that knows what the fuck they're doing, and you can see something special in that person.
Yeah.
But it's something that leadership is when you reach something, like when you reach a certain point. You don't get a beam of light that comes down when you get a promotion, and it's like, here's all the knowledge and skills to be a leader. Oh. Nothing like that fucking happens.
The greatest example for that. So you're working at company A, and then all of a sudden, the middle manager or whatever that's supposed to be leading the troops, however you want to say it, he's the owner's nephew. Right. Only reason why he got that position, because he's the owner's nephew.
Nepotism.
Does he have any leadership skills?
No.
Only reason why he's there is because he's the owner's nephew. Just because he got that position, does that mean he's a good leader?
No. Just because somebody's has that a title does not automatically make them a leader. You could be a C-level officer, a corporate operations officer. Got it. You the COO. You the CEO. I don't give a shit. You the CEO. Does not make you a leader. It just makes you an officer. You're the executive officer, motherfucker. Doesn't mean you're a leader. Should you be a leader in that position? Absolutely. Does that automatically make you a leader? Hell to the no.
Yeah, but because you're the boss's nephew, I have to listen.
Right, and then that's when you leadership, toxic leadership, bad work cultures, toxic cultures, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, leadership, I feel like has almost nothing to do with personal attributes. You do not have to have like extroverted, charismatic traits to be a leader.
No.
Do they help? Sure. But you don't have to have them.
Yeah, I've been led by some jerks throughout my job experience, and it's okay. They can be jerks. They don't have to have that charisma to where they're well liked. But you know what? I respect them as a leader.
Right.
Because I knew they knew what the fuck they were talking about. They had that something that made them a leader.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I've been put in positions where I'm like, I don't know everything. And I blatantly admitted to everybody, I'm like, I don't know everything, guys. So I need y'all to help me out and make sure that I'm making, give me the information so I can make the right decision. And my guys have, we respect that you said that you don't know everything. I was like, look, there's no way for me to know everything. There's 7 different jobs that I'm overseeing. I've worked one of those jobs, maybe 2. There's still so much that I don't know. Give me information and I will make the right decision based on what I see to you. And unless you can give me a reason as to why I'm making a bad decision, we'll have to move forward with mine.
Yeah, definitely a breadth of experience will go a long way. I'm with you. There's a lot. I'm pretty sure I bother a lot of people because I ask questions of something I don't know, because I want to be able to make the right decision if something comes up in the future that is in that area of expertise that I don't have. But right. I know just enough, and I know the right people I can talk to because I have that experience to where I know I don't know everything.
Right, and that's important, in my opinion, to be humble enough to ask for help. If you're the boss's nephew and you got put into a leadership position because you're the boss's nephew, humble up, ask for some help. People will respect you a little bit more if you take their thoughts and then you make a decision and go for there.
So, are you in your second third, or are you still a long ways?
Oh, no. For sure.
Okay. Well, let me...
I'll take a puff and I'll let you know what I'm tasting.
You're tasting some smoke.
So I got a lot of the earthy cedar, I want to say a hazelnut, like chew.
All right.
Yeah. What about you?
Is yours a medium or is it medium to full?
It's right there in that. I would probably say medium to full range.
Okay. Well, I don't want to confuse people. When I say full, it doesn't necessarily mean it's stronger. Full can also mean like more of the flavors are actually coming through. So it doesn't necessarily always mean that it's going to be more nicotine or it's a harsher smoke. But that's not always the case.
No, it's definitely medium. I would say medium to full.
The reason why I said that is because I can tell mine is getting in the full range because the flavors are actually a little more dominant. Let's take the per out of that. Or more dominant coming through, and it's definitely a woodsy, spicy. I would say spicy oak.
Oh, that's interesting.
And it's definitely full. Definitely going to full.
Yeah. This would pair very well with a nice dark roast coffee.
Yeah?
Oh yeah. It's a perfect Sunday morning coffee drink, enjoy the sunrise type of cigar.
You hear that, Black Rifle?
Honestly, every time I smoke this, I just want to be out at like a lake up in the mountains and a cabin, just sitting over at a deck overlooking the water, just drinking a nice cup of coffee with a cigar, and that would be heaven on earth right there for me.
All right. Well, don't do it at Lake Mead because they need water.
I said a lake that's full of water.
Played.
Not the desert lake that you by. Something though is leadership is not management.
No. Because management is all about. When I think of management, I think of numbers. You don't look at your people; you look at them as widget bots.
Right.
Put them in place to make widgets, calculate numbers. If I have 3 people, they can make 17 widgets. Yeah. I have no idea how they're feeling. I don't know who's better of the 2 or 3. None of that matters to me. Managers
manage things. Leaders lead people.
Well played.
That's the way I always think of it.
Yeah. And sometimes I see people get caught up in the managerial role of their job, and sometimes they sidestep the whole leadership portion.
Yeah.
Hopefully they come back to it, because the management portion, it kind of makes it suck when you come to work every day. But like, oh, here comes the manager.
Yeah, there's a thing I know in the Air Force, are you a chief or are you an E9? Which an E9 is just the rank of a chief. And an E9 would be a manager, right? They don't do anything. They just worry about numbers and how they about the process, the numbers, how many widgets can we produce? Charge forward, meet production goals, hoorah. Where it'd be like, I know all of my people, I know some of their stories. I'm leading them, I'm making sure they're well taken care of, and I see, hey, I think that guy, because I've seen him before and I saw how he works, would be great for this growth position over here. And they're like, oh, I didn't even think of that. You're like, yeah, that guy or that girl, she would be great for this position over here, and I think that would help. Skill set matches this job over here.
Well, yeah, basically, is well said, well put. Because an effective leader wants their followers to become effective leaders and succeed in their own task that is set upon them.
Well, yeah. I always say leaders, they set a direction, build a vision, and adapt as circumstances require.
Yeah, because I'm glad you said vision, because a manager doesn't really see the vision. A manager is going to go day in and day out with tasks set at hand. And at the end of the day, they punch their clock and get out. As a leader has a vision saying that I want to sell all my widgets by February, and they see that vision, and then they place the pieces how they need to have people succeed in different places that they set them up for, and then achieve their goal at the end with all parties involved headed towards the same goal.
Right. I kind of think of it, a manager plays checkers and a leader plays chess. Because in checkers, all the pieces are the same.
Yeah.
You got to use each individual piece to its strength.
And over time, your checkers, you can king them. So that's over time.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with strategy.
No, that's just almost luck of the. In spite of your managerial, they became a leader in their own right. And my way.
I like it. I also like to refer it to dominoes.
Throwing bones.
Throw some bones, baby. Yeah, because you got to strategize. Well, the goal is to win, but you got to strategize and use everyone else at the table to achieve your goal.
Yeah.
I guess you're not necessarily leading. Yeah. So we'll go back to chess then.
when you throw down that double 5 and you just sit there and look at the person and go, so you get 5 blank out, you put that right there. It's cool.
Get you, man.
Yeah. 5. What bitch? 5? What? Yeah, in its simplest form, I think leadership is just influencing other people to follow. So, if that's being said, anyone who can influence people to follow them has some leadership qualities. Now, leadership can be used for evil in my opinion.
Well, yeah, most villains, they do lead someone. That's where it gets back to that one episode where we have you rather be loved or feared. Most villains or whatever in shows, they rule by fear. They lead by fear.
Right.
I mean, it works.
To a point.
Well, I mean, Hollywood is going to always have the good guy win, but I'm saying, come on, you've seen enough shows in real life. If he just go ahead and set off whatever trap he got, the good guy is going to get murdered. Instead, they got to sit there and talk about the bio plan of ruling the world.
You caught me monologuing. Yeah. No, I mean you're not wrong for sure. That definitely does happen. It's just now that I'm almost in my last third, this drink is not pairing well with this cigar.
Oh.
The sweetness is playing well with this nuttiness that's coming out of this last third.
That means that full is coming in stronger, and there's a lot
more spice. Yeah. Sorry. I took a drink and I puffed on my cigar and I was like, this not a good pairing. But yeah, it there's 100%, I'd rather be feared than loved or loved feared. Got it. We've already hashed that one out, but to an extent, I think that there's, even if you're eventually there will be enough people to sit there and say that, hey, we don't fear you anymore, and they overthrow you. But if you're loved, it's a lot harder for people to overthrow you if you're loved and you're this great, wonderful person. Who's gonna be in on the coup, so to speak?
Well, your influence, if you're one of those that influenced by love or not by fear, by all means, you're gonna have an army of troops that will march off the cliff for you because of your leadership and your inspiration to everyone, to want them to succeed. Of course, we don't want anyone to march off a cliff, literally, but it's in a sort of speak. So if you lead by fear, so eventually your influence is going to wear off because they're no longer going to fear you. They're like, okay. A great example of that is Suge Knight. Suge Knight was the monster of hip hop mogul that ruled Death Row. He had the whole music industry scared, like, oh my God, Suge Knight walked in. He does all these crazy things. Then at one point in time, after the fall of Death Row and everything, Suge Knight got knocked the fuck out. Someone knocked him out, like he's laying on the ground. So he's no longer feared anymore. So now he has no one to follow him because everyone's like, now he's a joke.
Yeah, I mean, you got knocked out. Now nobody is like, wait, you just got knocked the fuck out? I used to be afraid of you. And it's like, Well, you should be. Bitch, you got knocked the fuck out.
You want me to call that guy back and knock your ass out again?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the dad, the stepdad, or whatever. It's like, the dad, the stepdad fight, and the stepdad wins, and your kid's like, hey, come pick up this trash right now. And then he's like, oh, you want me to get Steve over here? Beat your ass again, bitch? What? Right, fuck Steve. Fuck. Hate Steve. I hate that motherfucker.
You're like, I'll beat his ass. Oh, like you did last time?
Yeah. There's that famous line in 300, which I love that movie. But he's like, it's not going to be long before your soldiers fear my swords more than your whips.
Yeah.
And it's just destroying them. And it's like, oh man, like I didn't realize at the time, I didn't realize how powerful that line was until now. I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
If all you do is rule by fear, then like, man, that's a perfect. We're gonna fuck you up until your guys are so demoralized that you don't even want to fight anymore.
Well, look at the leadership about that just in general. Just 300 against what? How many?
Oh, it was like thousands.
Yeah,
tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands.
So everybody joined together to a common goal. He influenced everyone.
Yeah, and the dude, obviously, the battle tactics are smart and everything else. Not getting into that one, but like, I mean, you got to think if you're this huge army, people of 300, and you're 100,000 strong, and they got 300. Even if you were 14,000 strong against 300,
yeah,
you take that's 140 to 3. 40 to 3. You take on 3 guys and you fight 140 motherfuckers on your own, and you hold your ground. Like, you badass fuckers, in my opinion. But yeah, that's the thing. I mean, like, that killed him just because that dude was like, hey, follow me. We're gonna do this smart. We're gonna do this right. When we're gonna get, we're gonna save our land or what. Got it. But whole with that is, he was king, so he ordered him. Got it. But he was right there in the mix.
Yeah.
With his people, leading from the front.
Yeah. Yeah, he wasn't managing. He was at the front. He was leading the way.
Right. Charge. The movie aside, he was actually out in front doing his thing. Whereas it's a perfect manager versus leader situation. Xerxes was a manager. All he cared about was winning the battle. Leonidas was a leader, leading from front and just putting his people, so that's why they loved him.
Right. I wouldn't have it any other way, sir.
I wouldn't either, my friend. That's why I try to get out with my people as much as I can. That's why, we had that sidebar why open door policies are bad.
Yeah.
Get out from behind your damn desk. Learn your people, lead your people. You'd be surprised what you learn.
You'll be surprised how much it goes a long way walking out on a production floor or walking in the middle of a factory floor or whatever you do and just talking with the people. Even my job now, I try to rub elbows with every single stage of the process.
Yeah. But I bet it goes a hell of a long way for those people being like, damn, he actually asked how my wife would get. And it's even more impressive if you do that a couple times, you learn your people. Hey, how's Jill and your 3 kids? Oh, you remember that my wife's name is Jill and I have 3 kids? Holy shit, they're doing great, sir. If you need anything, hey, I noticed you've been working real hard. Why don't you go right off? You take Jill and the kids out to the lake for the weekend. Go enjoy your weekend, man. Thanks so much. Boom.
Yeah.
Boom. That dude just tripled his productivity when he comes back that next week. Almost guaranteed.
And a side effect of that is the loyalty aspect of that person is going to be triple fold.
Oh, 100%. And that's the thing that I think a lot of leaders, there's this. I was reading on LinkedIn. I was reading this article about quiet quitting. Have you heard about this?
Mm-mm. I have an idea what you're talking about, but please explain.
So quiet quitting is apparently a new trend, and they say it's among Gen Z and younger millennials. That's just that's where the target audience is. I'm not saying anything about anybody, but what they're doing is a manager will come down and they'll give them a task. They'll do the bare minimum on that and nothing. They go above and beyond, try to solve problems. It's literally just that task. Here's that task. And then they're doing the bare minimum to meet their goals. That's it. And then they bitch about their jobs. They clock out exactly on time. They come in exactly on time, clock out exactly on time. Never early, never late, bare minimum, boom. And so they call it quiet quitting because they're like, well, I just care about it. This is a means to an end. This job doesn't fulfill me, and so they're as a way to just kind of, middle finger to the boss or whatever, fucking late or whatever. And I've noticed this a lot more where they're like, hey, my hours are, from 9 to 5. Anything outside that, you can't reach me. To an extent, but you're also putting yourself on the chopping block first. Because as soon as workforce reductions come, which there will be, performance review time, you're putting yourself on the chopping block. Hey, your work is satisfactory, but it's good. Yeah, it's good. It is, but it's Tim over here is doing amazing, and you're just barely meeting minimums. So he's like, all right, so I'm meeting minimum. It's all right. I say, you're not wrong, but we're actually having a workforce scale down because, whatever. So COVID. We got to let you go. Yeah, COVID, recession, contract ended, whatever the case is. So we got to let you go. Well, why? I was meeting the minimums. Yeah, exactly. He was exceeding them. You're me. I'm going to keep the guy that exceeds them, and I'm going to let go of the guy that's barely meeting them.
That's where leadership and management kind of comes into play, because as a leader, you need to kind of manage what your people are actually achieving or doing. So that's the manager side of it, but the leader side of it is you want to approach that person and try to figure out what's really going on. Like Tim is producing 4 widgets a day and you're producing 2. The minimum is 2, but how can I get you to 3?
Oh, this job just doesn't fulfill me. I just don't like this job. Okay, maybe you should seek employment elsewhere then.
Correct.
The problem is after COVID, it was a worker's market, and I think it's going to start turning around.
Yeah.
Because of everything, and so prices are starting to increase, increasing interest rates, all of these things, and so I think the workers are going to doing the quiet quitting that maybe they're not so secure in doing all of this stuff, and maybe they do want a job to fund those things that do fulfill them.
Yeah, it sucks if I don't know if I'm in that case or not, but it would suck to have like 5 people under you and everybody just performing at minimum. That would suck.
Yeah. Honestly, I would probably fire the worst of them and try to find somebody who's motivated and just keep swapping them out. I got a whole stack of resumes here. I don't know what's fear, but I'm just gonna whatever. Okay, cool. I'm gonna knock the next one out and I'm gonna get somebody else.
Well, I guarantee you, if you fire one of the 5, at least 4, and they say, hey, why the hell did you fire that guy? He was just producing the minimum.
Yeah.
Oh shit, I was producing the minimum.
Yeah.
Huh. Might want to step my game up.
He was producing the minimum. I'm looking for somebody to start taking charge and leading this stuff. So I need to start making moves around this place so I could, grow the company, so I could grow your benefits, so I could do all of these things. These guys, what these workers, in my opinion, don't understand big corporations, I get it. They're greedy monsters, faceless. Got it. No, under good companies, if the company does better, you get paid more.
Yeah.
So there's a benefit for you working hard and making the company more profitable.
Yeah, more pie to cut up.
Right.
But again, that's getting out to know your people, get from behind the desk. To become a leader, you need to influence others. To become a great leader, you have to be able to influence others and push them to succeed, to become better at what they actually do. When we talk about training your replacement, that's where the good and great leadership step up into place, because you can be a mediocre leader and just lead everybody to achieve a common goal. But a great leader will have those same 5 people biting at the chomp to take your position so you can move up.
Right. I was reading that book about Ulysses S. Grant, and one of the things that kind of struck me is the dude would get off either he'd make a trip, right? So whether by train or by caravan, done from the trip, and he wouldn't go to his staff house that the staff had set up for him as his mobile headquarters. He wouldn't go there. I'm here. What is the problem? Let me go back there after I've thoroughly surveyed the situation, and then we can make a plan of action. But he's behind my desk and try to make a plan of action for something that I don't truly understand.
Right. Which mirrors the same comment that I have said for years and that you actually enjoy, is you have to assess the situation, coach.
My favorite saying ever. By far. I've said it to so higher up, so many of my leaders, and they just kind of look at me and I go, what? You want me to make a hip fire decision? I can do that. But if you want me to make guaranteed the right decision, need to assess the situation, coach. But
Coach, I'm pretty sure you turn some heads like, what? Austin, what?
What? Because that's my thing. I mean, I just, you taught me that back in the day, and I will consistently say it, because there's so many times people will come. How do I solve this problem? Well, first off, let me the problem. Well, but I can tell you about the problem. No. Let me see it. Let me see how you're doing it. Let me see what you're doing. Let me see what your processes are. Let me see what your train of thought is. Let me see, then you can talk me through it while you're showing it to me. But it's better if I just have it in front of my face, and then we got a game plan to solve that problem.
I have been in that situation, and a lot of times during the explaining process, you can see the other person when they're explaining it, they get the aha moment.
You're explaining. At that point, you're basically a sounding board for their ideas, and you're like, "Oh, so you figured it out?" And they're like, "Yeah, thanks." I'm like, "I didn't do anything except come out here and talk to you, homie." Well, no, but you helped me with this and this. All I asked you to do was explain the situation. You figured it out on your own.
Yep. That's a good feeling on both sides.
Yep. All right, you in your last third?
I am definitely in my last third. That full flavor is coming through. It's actually mine turned a little harsh after all that I was saying earlier. But yeah.
So I'm getting
yeah.
I was gonna let you take a puff so you can get all your flavor. I'm getting cedar, nut, and almost a little bit of white and black pepper mix.
I can definitely feel the tinge on my palate in the back. That lets me know it's definitely full. It's more of a leather than oak, and there's definitely some spice there. I would say cayenne from the way it's kind of hitting my palate.
Interesting. Very good. Very good. Yeah. And there's a little bit of spice back there. I can't put my finger on it, but it's a little bit getting a little bit more full body towards the end. Of course, But it's good.
All right, so let's do a quick little recap.
Yeah,
So we did a deep dive in Habano. Very versatile leaf. Versatile leaf.
it is.
There's two different plants of it. The original Habano and the Habano 2000.
Yep, got to have that hybrid to resist that disease that wiped out that Corojo leaf in the 90s. But then you got the most common types, which is the Ecuadorian and the Nicaraguan. Ecuadorian is going to be a little bit more. That Nicaraguan is going to be a little bit more harsh, a little bit spicier, cayenne, wood, leather, that sort of stuff.
Definitely got all of the above. Then we hit up leadership. Like, what is leadership? What is leadership?
Honestly, if you are in a leadership position, I challenge you guys. One, let us know at on Instagram at Leadership of the Leaf. Let us know what your thoughts on what leadership is, and then I challenge you guys: smoke a cigar, sit out, and really think, what is leadership to you? What does a good leader look like for you? What is a bad leader? And then rate yourself on that leadership scale. Where do you fall? What's your strengths? What's your weaknesses? Be honest with yourself.
Yeah, don't lie to yourself, because most people tend to write down all their own attributes.
I'm fucking amazing and everyone else sucks.
Yeah, that's why sit back, smoke a cigar, get a Churchill if you like.
Yeah.
Habano.
I don't recommend smoking the woody and trying to think about this. You'll be out there all goddamn night. If you don't know what the woody is, look it up.
Woody cigar. Look up Woody cigar.
Woody cigar. No, Google the woody and see what comes up. I want to see what happens.
Yeah. All hate mail goes to
Austin.
Leadership of the league.
I will read your comments and respond with laughing emojis as appropriate. But yeah, what is leadership? It's definitely one of those things to take into account, take into consideration as to what it means to you, as to what does a good leader look like, what does a bad leader look like, where you fall on that scale, what kind of attributes, what strengths you have, what weaknesses you have. Be honest with yourself, and then just always keep that in the back of your mind when you're making these decisions.
Yeah, simplest form: influencing other people to follow. That's the simplest form as you can put it.
Easy. Until next time, I'm Austin.
And I'm Dice.
And you guys have been listening to Leadership of the Leaf. Catch you on the next one.
Yes, sir. Thank you for listening to Leadership of the Leaf. The comments and opinions expressed by the host and guests does not reflect the opinions of those that broadcast this show, nor does it reflect any of our affiliates.
Don't forget, we need to follow the podcast so we know when new episodes drop.